Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. I am joined by none other than HellHades. Hades, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Ash, I'm doing well, man. Really good. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Today we're going to talk about, we're just going to jump right into it, man. Not even going to mess around here. Guardian Ring, it is in game. We were given, oh my God, these Thanksgiving packs. All these packs are popping up. Ruined my video, Plarium. My big guest, my big chance to interview HellHades, and you're ruining
Buy more stuff.
Yeah, right? They're like... Guardian Ring, man, it's in-game. I noticed that you already had a lot of opinions and advice for players out there talking about mistakes and pitfalls to avoid with Guardian Ring. Before we jump into that stuff, I want to get like your overall take on Guardian Ring. Like, what do you think about it, man?
Yeah, well, I feel like it surpassed my expectations when they first kind of threw out there this is what they were going to do, all these different areas that they were going to use dupes. So my initial opinion before it came out was really strong. I then started to see some bits of it and I was like, okay, feels kind of strong. And then when we actually saw the kind of final version, there's bits of it which I feel like they just missed. Honestly, I feel like they missed a couple of bits. My overall feeling of it is we've got a dupe system and it's something to work on, but parts of it just kind of don't make sense to me. How are you feeling about it?
Well, listen, I'm really worried about it. I put up a 10-minute rant video talking about it, and I feel like overall I'm worried that this is going to make like a huge chasm between the haves and the have-nots of Raid, especially as it pertains to like empowering champions specifically. But, you know, I can't lie. When I saw it in game, I was a little excited too, like just to be, you know, real about it.
And that's it. It's exciting, right? It's almost like this is new and it's something we can actually touch. And even a new player coming in, if you scrap PvP from the game, if you just scrap it from the game for a second, no player will find content more difficult. Everyone's going to find content easier from today. Everyone. Because
this is true.
Everyone gets stats boost. Every single person will get stats boost. And you can go farm rares to give your rares stat boost. So
I just realized I don't have any rares. That's the first thing I realized. Like, oh my God, I need more rares, dude.
Yeah. But there's parts of it, like you say, like the empowering is just a little bit, well, not a little bit, it's completely nuts. And PvP is in the game, and that's where the kind of problem lies, really.
That's the problem, because again, it's just like people who have, you know, 4 or 5 copies of these legendaries, a lot of the most powerful legendaries, is such a significant stat boost that it is it's worrisome. You know, it's worrisome. You guys can see the bonuses on the screen right here, and it's kind of as we thought, right? They're really big, really massive in terms of the level 4 stat boost. Go ahead.
Can I just give you 2 examples of screenshots I've already seen? So this thing's been out for less than like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so far I've got a screenshot sitting in front of me, a lady Kimmy with over 415 speed, while still getting over 500 accuracy. And I've seen a Trunda with over 8k attack in Savage gear with over 330% crit damage.
Dude, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about, man. That's cool and all for the people who have them. And I have like 1 or 2 legendaries that I can fully power up. Do you have any?
Not that I can fully power up. I've got a couple of 4s so I could get to like close to it, but then I can't do that and max the faction guardians as well. So I don't have any of that going. I got 1 faction guardian which I've maxed.
Yeah. So how about and then token traders too? Like I need Sir Nick, for example, right? But it's like, yeah, I mean, do I want to sacrifice empowerments or guard? Like that's the thing is if you invest in one area, you're pulling from all other areas. So I guess let's jump into it here, Hades. We kind of given our opinion. Kind of exciting that we have something to do with dupes finally. And to your point, I think it's a great point, man. Like people now are better off than they were yesterday. You know, in a vacuum, everybody is. As long as you have, you know, just pull a few mystery shards, get a couple dupe rares, you know. However, with that said, it is concerning overall for the game. I feel like long term. So we're kind of in agreement there. By the way, we're gonna have a video going out shortly on your channel as well, talking about how we'd fix the dupe system, right? Among other things. So that should be really fun to do on your channel as well. But why don't you talk about, because you've done some studying here, you're always the most informative dude out there in terms of information. You've done some studying on Guardian Ring. Tell us best practices. What should we be avoiding in Guardian Ring?
Yeah, so the first thing I would avoid is jumping in and doing kind of what we just spoke about there. So empowering champions, I think, is probably the sexiest part of this dupe system. And it's almost like that bit of candy. You want to get drawn into it. You want to see which of your champions you can push to their limit. And I think it's kind of a trap, because it's the only... Well, it's the way that you lose legendaries here. It's the way that you completely obliterate a champion that you've got. And I think we're going to see a lot of people make that mistake, and I think they'll make it day one. Kind of like, it's almost like the using your legendary book on Kayle situation.
Right.
Got that Kayle, you just want one more skill, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to use that legendary book. I think this is the same situation where, you know, 99.9% of the community should not be empowering champions at all. I think they should be throwing legendaries into faction guardians. I think that's by far the best return for the average player that you're going to get out of this system.
Okay, so
because it's continuous. You've always got it. You've always got it. It's going to stay there. And then if you need to make different decisions down the line, you know what? You just pull them out of the faction guardians, and you can still make those decisions.
Absolutely. It doesn't cost anything to pull them out or anything like that as well, right?
No,
yeah, no.
That's it. They just kind of sit there. So I think until you filled those up, I wouldn't be empowering any champion.
Okay.
And 100%, I wouldn't be unbinding any champion. I think that's the worst return for your legendary that you can get.
Okay. So faction guardians.
You said you need Sir Nick, yeah?
Yeah. I do need Sir Nick, and I need Manaya. But
so, how are you feeling then about 8 dupes for Sir Nick?
I'm not feeling good about it, honestly, Hades. I'm not feeling good about it. Yeah. That's the question. Do I go for Manaya? I need Manaya and I need Sir Nick. I think that, I don't know, man. I don't feel great. And to your point, I'd rather empower I'd rather even empower than unbind at this point. Do you agree with me there or no?
I do, yeah. I think unbind, because they've set the prices so high.
Yeah.
So what I was expecting to see, or hopeful to see maybe, was like 1,500 life token requirement up to 2,000. So 3 to 4 legendaries.
Yeah.
For the one you want. So you're handpicking one, so I can kind of get that you need to throw a few in the pot. You're handpicking one that you want. But 6 to 8, I mean, I think it's obscene. Honestly, I think it's a ridiculous number.
I think at the very least, they should all be the same as Manaya. They should all be 2,500. And the reason I say that is it's the same cost to totally empowered champions. So it's like, okay, I mean, and obviously I'd like even less than that, right? I'd like only like 1 or 2 copies, obviously, or 3. But even, okay, 5, then I can make that kind of even choice. It feels like, to your point, the token trader, man, that's a lot. At the very least, I would love these spots to say static, so 25, 3,000, and 4,000, but I can have a refresh, you know, and just kind of go through the champions here. So I think this is great advice, Hades. Stick with Faction Guardians first. Another big issue, though, is the champion. Didn't they say they were going to add more champion slots, or did they not say that? Because there's not added right now.
Well, at the moment, we don't have any. They've said in the future they will.
We have 300, 400, yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in being on time.
So, I mean, hopefully they're going to look at this, especially like, I don't have
fit all these rares,
I don't have many rares. I don't have many of the rares because I just didn't have the space.
They're like forcing us to unbind champions to make space to get these. I mean, look at how many champions I'm going to need, and I don't have any dupe rares. Look at all of the. Oh,
I mean, you're talking just in epics, like, what's that, 140?
It's crazy.
Epics.
Yeah, somebody that's more prepared than we are making this video can do the math and tell us how many epics and rares alone we need just to get these. So anything else?
I did have a suggestion actually on that. Yeah. For player, if they watch this, you know, it's basically, or for raid, you know, it's anyone that you put into the guardian kind of slot. Almost feels like they shouldn't take a space in your vault or in your. But even if you're still using them, they shouldn't count towards your space. I don't know how they would do it honestly, but. There definitely needs to be another kind of section of this is where our kind of guardian champions sit, because pretty soon people are going to be annoyed with this. I mean, it's already
dude.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It would really solve the problem in a lot of ways if it just didn't count, because it would actually free up space for a lot of players, you know?
Yeah, true.
Which would be a win-win, I feel like. And then would incentivize players to actually use the faction guardians. So I do think that's a huge flaw, is the amount of champion space. So any advice on, okay, Faction Guardian's pretty intuitive. It's not like, and again, we'll talk a little bit about how we'll improve, so I'll save some of that for your video. I have a lot of ideas on this as well, on the Guardians. But in terms of any other tips or pitfalls to avoid from the champion empowerment or the unbinding?
So one thing I would say, for just go back to the Guardians for a second, specific champions that you've got in your team, take Trunda as a good example. So you build them in a certain way so that they can do their job in the arena or wherever it is. Take Trunda, we don't want her to have high accuracy. So you might decide not to, even if you could, fill the third slot in the dwarf legendary guardians, for example. That's an example of what I'm trying to get across, is
I get it.
Just be careful that you don't just fill everything up without really thinking of any consequences of what you're doing. And another good example is like the epic speed. Yeah. So I'm looking here at my Ulcrian tribes. If you're running a man-eater comp and you've got 2 man-eaters running in the same team, all of a sudden you're going to give them +6 speed. I wonder how many people are just going to kind of lose their speed tune for clan boss,
Absolutely.
Just watch outs, really. But it should be quite intuitive, but just I think a lot of people kind of wonder why suddenly clan boss has stopped working with this patch.
You're right. I mean, it's, in a way, it's kind of good that speed is the last. I mean, it's good and bad, because speed is the most valuable category. You'd rather have it first in some ways, but also having it last, you're right. I think people might not realize, oh my God, none of my teams are working because of one. You get 9 speed just on getting to the final tier of epics and rares. That's quite a bit, I think the rewards are pretty good on the Faction Guardians. I think the overall Faction Guardians is a pretty cool system. There are a few things I'd change, but overall, do you like it? You like the rewards that you're getting?
Yeah, I think it's good. I actually think it's really cool. And it's worth saying as well, like the rare section will only affect your rares, or the epic section will only affect your epics.
Yes.
So they don't kind of stack up, which again, some people kind of thought they would, like the
Great Hall.
So yeah, it's just kind of a watch out. Again, people haven't seen this before, so it's kind of like, what are they going to get? But overall, I actually think the Faction Guardian system, if they just launched that into the game as the dupe system, maybe. I like the token trader, but I would like it in a different way. But we can talk about that on my video or on my channel. But I think the Faction Guardians kind of nailed the dupe system in a way. I think it's really cool. It's interesting, different.
Yeah, wouldn't it be better if all they added was Faction Guardians? And you can just kind of choose where you put your champions, rather than rather than having to stack one at a time into each of these categories. Again, we'll chat about that more, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like overall I'm excited, but just very, very worried about empowered. My final question is going to be about empowering champions to you. In terms of mistakes here, your number one mistake is don't do it. You better just run for your life. Let's just say I have 2 or 3 copies of a legendary, right? Because I think that most players, 99% of players are watching this right now, probably only have 1 or 2 legendaries that they have dupes for anyway, if that, So what would you do with the legendary dupes? Would you just put them in Faction Guardians, get the, the 10% HP and forget about the rest? Or would you, I don't know, they gave us 500 of these tokens. Like what would you do with it?
So I think what I would do personally, and I played games generally for a long time, and that's I've always done it. Clash of Clans, I played for years, World of Warcraft, all that type of stuff. I play, so I invest over time. And that's the way I play. So for me, Faction Guardians is the long-term play. Empowering champions is a much shorter-term play. But when I think about my free-to-play, I've got 1 legendary that's about to get a dupe, which is the lovely Seal of the Drakes.
Ah, my girl.
So my second legendary I pulled was a Seal, and you get like very few legendaries on a free-to-play account. So in terms of like immediate power, I would get way more power from just empowering her. I'd get way.
What exactly am I supposed to be doing here?
Way more benefit today, just empowering her, in the empowerment bonus, The longer term play is absolutely Faction Guardians. But if you're the sort of person that thinks, you know what, I might play this game for another month or so, 2 months, then Empowerment will give you best bang for your buck today. So I guess you have to kind of decide what sort of player you are. I think what's going to happen is today, tomorrow, this week, 95% of people are just going to empower individual champions. Because of that, they don't have
I hope not, man.
umpteen dupes. I just think it's going to be, and I think if they'd done the token trader better, 95% of people would have been in that bucket. But
yeah,
they did it. They made it so expensive that I think people just kind of turn to the next best thing, and I think it's going to be empowerment for the average player.
Yeah, because empowerment obviously is only affecting one champion, right? Whereas Faction Guardians affects all the legendaries of that faction. So let me throw you one last kind of curveball here, because this is important, I feel like. What if, talk to me about a crappy legendary versus a good legendary, right? Are you more inclined to power up a legendary like Syl, like you really love, that you use a lot, because maybe you'll get more bang for your buck there off of instead of Faction Guardians, right? You make that sacrifice. Obviously, you're not gonna unbind her, obviously, but maybe really good champions that you happen to get a dupe of that you really like, maybe then considering empowering. I think that's how I'm gonna handle it. Do you agree there, or would you still rather go just Faction Guardians, hold off for now at least?
Yeah. So I mean, if I look at my demon spawn on my main account, so we've got Timar, insane champion, Duchess, insane champion. I could.
You want 2 of them anyway, though, right?
Yeah, well, so I've got 3 of each, so I could double empower both of those champions, and kind of boost them up. And they're both champions that I use a lot, but it means that I would only have 2 spots filled in my Guardian, Faction Guardian space. So personally, for now, I'm going to be filling up the Faction Guardian, and I might change my mind on that, and I might end up just empowering those 2, because that's a great point. You know, if you've got some legendaries which are kind of low key, then throw them in Faction Guardians for now. It's going to empower everyone else, at least for now, and you never know, they might be buffed. So you know that kind of fits better. Like you say, if you've got one of those kind of really great legendary champions, and you've
like Pixneal, for example, right?
Oh, Pixneal, yeah.
Okay.
It ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. Was born like this. Was born like this.
But no, I see your point though. But you know, you just mentioned something too, Hades, dude. That kind of scares me too, bro. What if we had Mashald or Dracomorph or whomever, and then we unbinded them, and then they come through with massive buffs like they've done in the past? You're gonna be so mad, bro. You're gonna be so angry about it. That's another reason why, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you just never empower champions unless you're the biggest whale in the world, you know? Because, dude, that would really suck if you threw away a bunch of crappy ones. I don't know. It's tough.
I certainly feel like unbinding is bad. Terrible. Like, and especially like even if you've got void legendaries that you feel are bad. And there's plenty of them, actually. There's plenty where you just kind of wish they were stronger.
Yep.
You know how hard it is to get void legendaries. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. If I had, I don't know, like a void...
I have like 3 Anithwees, for example, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly the guy I was trying to think of his name.
Yeah. Boom. Mind reader, dude.
If I had 3 of him, I wouldn't empower him. I would just hold off and hope that he gets better and just use him as Faction Guardian. Because, no, the second that you throw him into the unbinding pit or something, and then all of a sudden he gets a buff. It's just it's so hard to make decisions about it, man. The only thing where you don't destroy your champions is Faction Guardians right now for me. That's why I'm like, that's my mantra. But I do get the sexiness behind empowering. I get it.
It is cool to do. I would say maybe if you do have, like, you know, if you're lucky enough to have maybe a few copies of a champion, maybe considering, you know, upgrading 1 or 2 levels. But still, I'm with Hades here. I think that you guys, we made our point. I think that you guys probably hear us loud and clear. Unbinding for the token trader should be like really, really careful about that. I don't want to see you guys waste your legendaries, especially even if they suck, especially if they get buffed. I will say though that Ninja, they use Noble as, did you notice that? So I happen to have a couple Noble copies. I might burn them for Ninja because I know, you know, I'm not a big fan, and I don't know. Even that though scares me, bro.
Well, but, that's the situation, isn't it? Because Ninja is awesome.
Yeah,
Noble's not currently complete trash.
Yeah.
But we never know if he's going to get a buff. That's the only thing that scares me. You know, it's a bit like Lydia. I mean, she's insane. I've actually got a couple of Visics, so I could empower Lydia, but Visic's actually pretty good nowadays. So
yeah, dude.
I don't know, man.
All right,
it's
well,
really difficult.
We've given a lot of advice. Hades has given all his advice on each of these categories. I hope it helps you guys out. I want to hear from you guys. What is your strategy going to be? Let us know in the comments below, and check out the rest of this video, the collab on Hades' channel. We're going to go over there right now, talk a little bit about how we change the system right now, kind of how to save raid long-term from what could be the worst-case scenario here as it pertains to the Guardian Ring and the dupe system. Hades, thanks so much for having me, for coming on. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me on, Ash. Hope you
problem.
guys use the advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. Check us out on HellHades channel. And as always, take care, guys.